Hello there and welcome once again to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the Mayor of Oklahoma City, and this is our show for April 2014. Glad you're with us. Well, if it's April, it must mean the Festival of the Arts cannot be too far behind. And with us today is Cohn and Kathy Bookman, who are the co-chairs for this year's Festival of the Arts. Welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you for having us.
I'm so delighted that the festival starts this year on April 22nd, because those that have studied Oklahoma history know that's when the land run occurred, that's when Oklahoma City began, and here on the 125th anniversary, it coincides with the beginning of the Festival of the Arts. Chuck, I don't know how you got all the calendars to line up like that, Chuck, but congratulations.
We worked for years to try to get it to happen. But and we actually have some things coinciding with that as well. So, for example, you're going to come out and be there for the opening ceremonies and help us kick it off. We've got some of our children's areas are going to help commemorate the anniversary that day, and so we're going to try to incorporate that in as much as we can.
Now, is Kathy in charge of the weather, or is that your job? I wasn't sure.
I think that's our local weatherman.
We'll blame somebody if the weather is not perfect.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But in April, you never know what you're going to get. But you do know that when you attend the Arts Festival, you're going to have a good time because of great art, great food, and you will see somebody you know. I mean, there's so many people down there. You will run into somebody you haven't seen in a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. You will.
Tell us about your favorite experiences, because you've been to the Arts Festival when you weren't the co-chair. What do you like about it?
I love the energy. I did work with this, and I've been working with it for 20-something years. I brought my children when they were small, and I like it. One of my favorite things is that you can work along beside anyone. You can work with the librarian, you can work with a city council person, and all of our jobs are just as important as the other. So that's a lot of fun.
Tell us about the artists that are coming this year.
There are 144 artists who are always juried. That's something that we're very proud of. We have outside jurors that come in, and they don't know their names. They are in their various categories, and they have numbers. And at the end, we find out who gets into the festival, and it's just very exciting.
How many of them generally are local, and how many of them might be national who do arts festivals around the country?
That's a good question. Do you know that answer?
I don't. I think it's probably somewhere around 20% are local, and the rest, they're regional. But we've got some that have come from overseas. We've got them from most of the states there. It's a pretty intense show.
Is there an effort to diversify the art so that there's a little of every style of visual art?
Absolutely. We've got like 13 different mediums that are juried in, everything from 2D to 3D miscellaneous, pottery, fiber. We've got a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah. Kathy, talk about the food that we can expect this year.
The food. Well, we always have new vendors coming in. But I think we would all be shot if the Indian tacos and the strawberry Newport was not there. So
I knew you were going to draw attention to those two things, because those are my two favorite items as well.
Ours too. We do have a new one, and I'll get Chuck to help me, but Bluebell, is it Bluebell Grill?
I think it's Bluebell Saloon.
Bluebell Saloon from Guthrie, and they will have fried chicken and mashed potatoes, and I think some blueberry cobblers, some really great Oklahoma type food.
How fun is that?
So, and one of the other ones is something called a moink ball. You want to explain that one?
Yeah, it's a moink ball. Moo
I
oink.
don't know what that is.
It's kind of a meatball-y thing that's from, part pig, part cow. Moink. It's
of course
delicious. I know. Once you tell everybody, it's like, oh, that does make sense. But when we were trying it during the food jury, because all the food vendors are juried in as well. Everyone who's selected goes through that process to keep everything fair and make everyone, feel as though they get a fair shake and fair shot at getting into the show. And everyone had the same reaction. Moink, then once you tell them, it makes perfect sense.
What about music? Will that be part of the festival as well?
Yeah, we have 3 stages going all through the festival. From open to close, there are performances that rotate all throughout all of them. We have about a couple hundred performers, everything ranging from, we've got orchestras playing, some school bands coming, people tap dancing. We've got dance companies, like Race Dance Company is going to be there. I think Algood Orchestra. I mean, we've just got something for everyone, from rock, country, anything.
What about children? Is there anything for kids to do?
Oh, absolutely. As far as music, we have a Festival Idol show. where they showcase their talent. And moving around to children, we also have a juried children's show. So that goes from kindergarten to 12th grade. They're allowed to submit their art. And once again, as I said, it's juried as well. We just got through doing that.
Tell us about the first day, Tuesday, and the opening ceremonies. What do you expect then?
Well, it'll be a lot of fun. We actually open a little early on Tuesday for what we call our Festa First participants, people who have said they're going to purchase at least $500 worth of art. And so we open early, give them kind of a sneak preview of the show, and they can purchase before the official opening of festival that morning. But festival officially opens at 11 a.m. and we will have opening ceremonies on the cafe stage in the festival plaza. We've got some people from the library. We're going to have a performer playing some music and stuff, and a couple of speeches, and just kind of kick everything off and cheer everyone on as we get going.
How many people ultimately are likely to attend?
About 750,000 people will come through the festival this year. It's the second largest event in the state, I believe, just right behind the state fair.
Wow, that's pretty
Impressive.
Well, talk about being co-chairs. What does that entail? You didn't just start on this last week, I'm guessing.
No.
No.
It's been a 2-year commitment.
It's a 2-year commitment. You actually shadow.
So what's the first year like?
The first year is learning
Yeah.
to see what you're going to do and make your plans. And we get 3 months off, and then we're preparing the next one. So we celebrate in April. We have our festival in April, we celebrate in May, and we have a month off, and then we're getting our co-chairs and day chairs in place.
And are you responsible for helping get together the volunteers or individual committees?
Absolutely.
Yes.
What type of committees are involved?
Well, we've got 40 different committees that we're
40?
responsible. Yeah, 40.
Oh my
About
gosh.
400 committee members make up what we call our chairman's list, which head up all the committees. Everything from committee for face painting to the Plaza Artist Committee that helps with the artists, drinks committees, balloons and flowers, the face, all the children's activities. We've got committees to handle everything.
It takes 400.
Yeah.
Around 400 plus of the committee people to help put this together. It takes 5,000 volunteers to pull
Well,
it
that was
all
my
together.
next question. So so are those 400 kind of to help you find these 5,000, or do people just sign up year after year after year?
It's a little of both. We just had a meeting last night, and we refer to it as family. Once you are into the festival, you get hooked and you enjoy returning. So a lot of those volunteers have been doing it for 20-something years. So,
Do you always need new volunteers? Are you actively
Well-
seeking for this year or next year?
Always.
yes, always. And you can call the Arts Council, which is 270-4848. And you can go online to the artscouncilokc.com and sign up. So I ran into a lady at the bank who said she wanted to help, and so I sent her there. Didn't know her, but she was excited, and so that's how we get our volunteers often.
Well, it sounds like we have a number of asks to our citizens. We want them to certainly come at least once.
Absolutely.
And, I have some personal advice. Usually people pick out that best and brightest weather day to come out. I have found that sometimes the day where you thought it might not be all that great, you go out there, there's no lines, there's less congestion, and sometimes those are the more enjoyable days.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, obviously it's an outdoor event, and so, wind and rain and potential cool temperatures are all issues, but we will cross our fingers and hope for the best. And I want to encourage people to get out and pay attention to the kids' exhibits and the kids' activities, and if you have kids or grandkids where it might be appropriate for them to be involved. But even if they're not involved, go by and take in what the kids are doing and encourage them, because I think through the years we've been trying to pay more and more attention to getting more young people involved in the arts.
Exactly.
And there's no better way to encourage a child than to get them involved at the Festival of the Arts, or to encourage those that are already being involved out there. And then people need to order food and they need to buy some art. And so if
Absolutely.
that requires saving up a few dollars in the weeks before, then go ahead and get started. Or if it means not eating the day before because you want to really pack on the pounds on the day, because you are going to want a funnel cake or something when the Festival of the Arts gets here.
Absolutely. It's our largest fundraiser. It's what enables the Arts Council to do what they do the rest of the year. So we need everyone that can come out and support us.
Yeah, and on behalf of the citizens of Oklahoma City, thank you too for dedicating 2 years of your professional life to being a part of pushing the arts forward in Oklahoma City. This is a great event, and I know people travel from all over the state and probably outside the state to come visit us. And so there's an economic development angle to it, but certainly it's one of the things that Oklahoma City is most proud of, and it's been going on now since the 1960s.
Yes.
Yeah.
67.
67, yeah.
So plan ahead. The Festival of the Arts coming beginning April 22nd. That's a Tuesday, and it'll run through Sunday. Kathy, Chuck, thank you very much for being on the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you
have
for
another
having us.
guest on the other side of this break.
Did you buy the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes?
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yup.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes.
The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Visit ready.gov.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. I'm Mick Cornett, the Mayor of Oklahoma City. As I mentioned in our last segment, we're coming up on a very significant date in Oklahoma City's history. It's the 125th anniversary of the Land Run. And of course, the Land Run is the first day in Oklahoma City's history, and April 22nd is that pivotal day. Buddy Johnson is here. He's a reference librarian for the Metropolitan Library System. Buddy, welcome to the Mayor's Magazine.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, we have a few minutes to kind of talk about the anniversary, but first I'd like to get you to know you better. What's Buddy Johnson's story? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in, well, actually I grew up kind of all over the state. My dad traveled a lot with his job and we moved a lot, but I really consider home being Tulsa, and I grew up there, and actually that helped a lot with my history of Oklahoma City, because I came to this job with a blank slate, because in Tulsa, you know, we're taught that it's such a paradise that there's nothing past the, you know, the cross timbers, and, you know, Oklahoma City is not worth knowing about. So it was great to learn a lot about Oklahoma City with my job as a historian and a history librarian for this library system.
Your educational background and as
Yeah.
being a reference librarian.
Right. Yeah, I have a degree in history and also one in information science. So I bring both of those master's degrees to the table. So
Yeah. What's your involvement in our helping us to celebrate our anniversary?
Well, I've been working with several members of the city government, working on the parties celebration of the. Now it's the celebration of the founding of the city. The city itself wasn't legally created for about 13, 15 months later. So we're celebrating the Land Run, and I'm helping with some of the fact-checking and the historical details, and we're doing a lot of great stuff. There's quite a few, I'm sure you'll talk about them later, but a lot of celebrations all over the city that day.
Well,
so.
let's start right there. In fact-checking, what are you discovering about the Land Run that maybe you didn't know before you started researching it?
Well, there's a lot of, I think it's such a legend with all of us that there's a lot that we take for granted. I learned, for example, I just learned today in reviewing some notes that originally the people who snuck in before the guns went off at noon were called moonshiners. They weren't called Sooners until much later. I guess that was a little bit nicer, but they ran in the light of the moon, so they were called moonshiners. So I think it was interesting that the number varies a lot on how many people were here, maybe 5 to 10,000. It's a lot of people that just appeared in one brief moment off the prairie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Not a lot of cities. There's a lot of cities that are large like ours that grew really fast, but not very many did we have recorded history from the very beginning. Photographs, a lot of journals, journalists, newspapers, all that were present at the beginning. So
There's a series of Land Run sculptures near the canal in downtown Oklahoma City. How accurate do you think of a depiction do you think that is based on your research?
Well, in Oklahoma City, most everybody came on the train. And they were sitting on, you know, some luxury cars, and they were sitting in chairs, and they just came right into the city. There weren't a lot like that. Now that represents the, you know, the bulk of the rural part of the land run, which was certainly part of it. But our experience was quite a bit different.
Yeah.
So
the city was laid out into plots. How was land appropriated? How did someone get a piece of land in Oklahoma City on that first day?
Well, yeah, that was quite a scene of contention. Somebody called it the wildest and woolliest day in history, and because the Congress they didn't allow for government, so there was nobody to, you know, keep the rule and keep order, and so you had they provided for town sites up to I think it was 300 acres, but then they didn't say who could sell them or who could have title to them. So basically, a lot of it was settled at the point of a gun. So and then they had different surveys. We actually had two towns. There was Oklahoma and South Oklahoma, and that's why we got crooked streets, is they couldn't quite match up their surveys.
So where was the border between Oklahoma and South Oklahoma?
Reno. Reno is the section line. So anything south of there was a different town originally.
And where was the river at that point? Are you familiar with the river's course?
Yeah, the river actually was not remotely as straight as it is today with our improvements to it. It had several bends and elbows and oxbow lakes, and it was in its basic, the path that it's in basically now, but it zigzagged quite a bit from where it was now. But South Oklahoma ended at the river. So.
Interesting. And some of the names that we now know as streets or founding fathers were arriving in Oklahoma City in those early days. Are there names that people might be familiar with?
I think that the bigger names would be something like Overholser, who was here on day one. He shipped in some prefab houses, so he had, and businesses, so he had two-story buildings ready to go like within a couple of days. And he was probably the name that you'd know most. A lot of the streets were named after railroad officials and survey crew members and things like that. So you know, they wouldn't be as familiar to us as, say, Overholser would.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, you know, I sometimes joke when I'm speaking about the land run that you know, may not have been the best of ideas. After your research, there may be a reason that the federal government didn't continue to do this in a lot of other places.
That's right. Yeah, it was just utter chaos, you know. And they tried to improve it somewhat. In a couple of places, they had lotteries, and that was just as bad. And you know, it just, there really wasn't a good way to settle large areas all at once. So.
Yeah. How do you think Oklahoma's shaped today based on the land run? Is the land run completely distant from Oklahoma City today, or do you think there's still some semblance of that spirit?
I really think that in Oklahoma City in particular, it really is alive and well. I think there are a lot of people like, I would say Lewis Kramer is not a name you would know, but he had a carload of potatoes in St. Louis, and he couldn't sell them there. And so somebody said, hey, just send it down the line, which got to Oklahoma. And he sold potatoes to a hungry population who had no grocery stores or farms or anywhere to get food. He made so much money, he opened a hotel. He made money off his hotel, he invested in a railroad. And eventually he opened a horse racing track and a baseball field. And I mean, he just became this great entrepreneur. And I think that's the kind of people that Oklahoma City is attracting right now. And I think, you know, I think that's still alive and well. So.
That is interesting. You know, you've written some books, and I don't have a list of them. I'm assuming if you wrote them, you kind of could name them for us. Or
Sure.
I'd love for you to promote your authorship.
Okay, great. Well, the first book I did was called Historic Photos of Oklahoma City. Very simple title, and that's what's inside, historic photos. And I give a lot of real short vignette stories in that book, and it's done really well. I did a couple of books on outlaws, and another one on lawmen in Oklahoma. But my newest book is the one that I'm really excited about. It's called When Satan Came Also,
Yeah.
or And Satan Came Also.
Right.
And it's a reissue of an older book that I've updated the facts and brought a lot of context into the story. And it tells
Summarize that book for us.
Yeah, it tells, well, he says in the beginning, it's not the Chamber of Commerce version. It's got a lot of the seedy stories, a lot of gambling, whorehouses. It's got bootleggers, all the vice and corruption in city government, and everything you can think of that's kind of on the darker underworld side. It's in that book.
And what time period were most of these
starts with the
irregularities
land
taking
run.
place?
Yeah, it starts with the land run, when the people who laid out the town were Sooners who were illegally here in the first place, and it goes up to the 50s. There were a few scandals.
Now, what made you want to reissue this book? Because the book had kind of been forgotten.
Right.
Written in the 50s or
Right.
published in the 50s, I think.
That's right.
What made you say, you know what, this book is relevant today?
Yeah, well, it was. I read a lot of the stories, and I just found that people are people. No, it doesn't matter what era or what time, and that book is so popular among the local history people, not with the general public, but local historians know it really well. And I found that the book was really hard to read and had a lot of difficult passages in it, and I thought I could make it more readable for today's audience. And I really wanted to get current politicians to read it, and also the public, just to know not necessarily that the same things are going on now, but just that it's an interesting part of our past.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And so if people want to read more about some of your books, what's the best way to buy one of Buddy Johnson's books?
Well, the other books you can get, the earlier books you can get on Amazon. The last one is only available at Full Circle Books.
Okay. Buddy Johnson's written 5 books, works for the Metropolitan Library System as a reference librarian, and is helping Oklahoma City with its 125th anniversary party, which is coming up here. Yeah. Buddy, thanks for your work.
Thanks very much.
You bet.
Thanks.
And this show is running throughout the month of April, so if you're watching prior to April 22nd, I hope you'll consider being a part of Oklahoma City's birthday. We'll have Buddy on again someday to talk more about those exciting history books that he's put together, but right now we're going to take a break and come back with more on the Mayor's Magazine.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Tom Piccioni. Laws about illegal parking in handicap spaces have become a lot tougher. Your car can be towed if you're parked in a handicapped parking zone without a permit on display. Plus, the new law allows a $250 fine. Ever notice the striped lines next to some handicapped spaces? It's illegal to park there too. That space is so my friend Mark and others who use a wheelchair can get in and out. So, if you don't have a permit, don't park in a handicapped area. It's the law, and it's just the right thing to do.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Magazine. In this segment, we're going to learn more about what's being done for Parkinson's disease at Oklahoma City. Justin Willis is the president of the board of directors of the Parkinson Foundation. Welcome.
Thanks for having me today.
That's it. Now, how did you get interested in Parkinson's disease?
Well, my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease early in the 90s. And so I watched him battle that disease for a number of years, and had a friend that was connected to the Parkinson's Foundation here in Oklahoma City. And so I met the executive director, Jim Keating, at that point about 4 years ago, and he offered me the invitation to be on the board, and I just absolutely couldn't say no. It felt something that I had to do from my heart to be able to give back to the Parkinson's community.
Well, give us some background on yourself.
Well, I am about a fifth-generation Oklahoman, so
that's about as many as you can be,
that's
unless
right.
you're American Indian.
That's right. So I grew up in Durant, and then relocated to Oklahoma City in the early 90s to attend college at Oklahoma Christian. And then have stayed in the city working ever since.
Yeah, and you're some sort of involved in lab work and research.
Yes, sir. Involved in cancer diagnostics. So I manage a reference laboratory here in the city.
And that's kind of a growing niche in the biomedical sector in general. Talk about what you've seen over the 20 years you've been in Oklahoma City and how the biomedical sector and those other research jobs have grown.
That is a great point. When I first started working for my company, there was only one building in the Research Parkway. And now we have 6 or 7 buildings in that parkway. And they're involved in all types of biotech, research, laboratory facilities. So there's been a lot of influx new companies, new investment into that field and that area.
And some people think of research as just furthering the research, furthering the science, and that leads to some medical breakthroughs. They don't sometimes understand the job creation and the spin-off businesses that come from that research. Kind of expand on that. What have you seen?
That's correct. I think we're in this unique position of being located close to OMRF, close to the medical colleges, which a lot of those students and professors feed off ideas and form companies that can grow and seed into the research parkway there. So we've seen a lot of development over the last decade and a half in that specific area of growth.
Okay, let's talk now about your work as the president of the board of the Parkinson's Foundation. I know you have a big event coming up in the early parts of May.
We do. It's our 4th annual Walk in the Park event at Stars and Stripes Park. It's May 4th at 2 o'clock on a Sunday. Like I said, it's our 4th event. We're really building a lot of momentum. It's getting bigger and better every year. We have a lot of walkers, a lot of runners. It's a 1-mile walk and a 5K timed event run. So we offer something really for all ages. Pets are welcome. We'll have food there. We'll have music. We'll have face painting, a bounce house. Definitely a family type of environment. Hopefully the Thunder Girls, if we can get them in town on the same day. So we've got a lot of family activities there. But it's an exciting time for us. One of our biggest fundraisers, and it's a little bit different format. What we would encourage people to do is go onto our website at parkinsonoklahoma.com. There's a link on the front page there. Click on that link, and when they go to register, we would like them to create a team. And then on that team, reach out to their family, their friends, their neighbors, and help us raise money for this event. So we don't really charge a fee for this event like other races. It's not a pay and play type thing. What we'd like to do is just create a sense of awareness and a sense of education about the disease also at the same time. So we're building both components in to our registration. If they don't have access online, then they can call our office here. Our Parkinson's Foundation office is located in the Chesapeake Community Plaza here, just off of Wilshire and the Northwest Expressway. And our office number is 405-810-0695 for more information.
What are we learning about Parkinson's as through the years of research and advancements in the disease? What do we know today that maybe we didn't understand as well years ago?
Yeah, I think we're getting more information. We're getting patients more involved in clinical trials, which leads to more detailed research and more treatment options are developed from that, more drugs for people to manage their disease process. We hold annual conferences in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. We rotate them year to year to bring medical experts in with the Parkinson's patients for the state of Oklahoma. Try to create more awareness around new drugs, new therapies, get more participation from people for clinical trial work. And that's really been a huge benefit, I believe, to Oklahomans. It just empowers them and creates a sense of awareness of where they are.
All right. Well, Justin, thanks very much for your work on Parkinson's and especially your day job involved in the cancer research too. And I can only imagine, the benefits to America as a whole, but Oklahoma City specifically, at all the projects that you're involved in. So thanks for doing that.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Justin Willis is the president of the board of directors of the Parkinson's Foundation. And this is our final segment of the Mayor's Magazine, so I also want to thank Chuck Cohn and Kathy Bookman, who came in to speak about the Festival of the Arts, and Buddy Johnson, who works for the Metropolitan Library System, reminding us that April 22nd is the 125th anniversary of the city of Oklahoma City. So I hope you and your family will celebrate collectively or individually in your own way. That's going to do it for this edition of the Mayor's Magazine. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next month with another show.